You are now listening to the Voices of Dubai.
You're listening
Watching the Voices of Dubai with Joe Hage.
This is the Voices of Dubai.
Faris, thank you so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe.
I remember the first time we met, it was in 2018. I was working back then as a business development manager and audio producer at Soundstruck Studios. And since then, we've had the opportunity to work on several projects throughout the years. And today we finally have you on the show, The Voices of Dubai. Welcome.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. And it's interesting you remember the day we met, because I'm not sure that I do. Mm-hmm. I do remember meeting you. Mm-hmm. And I think I went there with the lovely Katie Overy.
Yes.
I got to give a big shout out to Katie Overy before we do anything else, because this woman has helped me so much in terms of voiceovers and TV. And emceeing as well. So, you know, big ups to Katie, because I know she's going to...
Big shout out to Katie.
She's going to be watching this like, why hasn't he mentioned me?
I have actually. Okay. About
no,
you.
Her, yeah.
I actually invited her to be one of the guests as well.
Yeah, she's got to be. She's one of the biggest voiceovers in the industry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And actually, I think I have to redo the intro, because we actually met in 2017 and I was working at Mango Jam.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for being here. And... first, I'd like to know, how was your career path so far? Like, where did you start and how did you end up to where you are today?
I started my career quite young. I know a lot of people start at like 16 and stuff, but I started when I was either late 18 or early 19. But I know I definitely graduated from school and I was at university for a year or like 9 months before I got my first proper job, which was at a radio station.
Okay.
Now, I was studying computer science, but I started doing this job at the radio. I contacted them. I was like, I just decided it's something I want to do. It's something, I watched a movie called Pirate Radio, which if you haven't seen it is amazing. It's about back in the UK in the 1970s, pop music and rock music was illegal in the United Kingdom. It wasn't allowed to be played. So what they would do is they would take ships and oil rigs out into the sea, into international waters, which are legally not in the United Kingdom, but they can broadcast into the United Kingdom.
Wow.
So it's about the radio presenters that lived and worked on these boats, and it was probably the golden age of radio. And I watched that and I was like, I think I can do that. I want to do that. So I messaged the radio station, I begged them to give me a chance, and they did. So I started working when I was, like I said, either late 18 or 19. So I was going to school, learning about computer science, going to do the radio show, then going home and studying, and rinse, repeat.
Wow. And when did you notice that computer science wasn't exactly what you wanted to do?
I didn't like studying.
Okay.
I didn't like studying at school. I didn't like having to learn something that I wasn't interested in. I didn't like doing something that, computer science is creative. But when you're first learning at university, it's like how to program different codes, these things. It's not second nature yet, so you can get creative. And maybe if I'd given it a chance, I would be a massive webmaster now, but I got this job too soon. I remember my dad was like, I don't want you to do this job. It's going to affect your grades. It's going to be a bad thing. And then I got a raise. It was like, you need to still focus on school. University is important. And then I got another raise. It was like, please study. It's good for you. And then I got another raise, and he just stopped bringing it up.
He just stopped bothering after a while.
Yeah, but I was just doing radio pretty much when I was in Jordan in Amman. تحية للنشمية. I was just doing that basically because Jordan didn't have a lot of media opportunity in general, and because I was young and lazy, and I didn't think about expanding. It was when I came to Dubai and I met Katie Overy. She was like, do you do voiceovers? Because I think there's an assumption that if you're on the radio, you'd be a good voiceover, which I don't think is necessarily true. But she took me to a company called K Company, who did a demo for me. They got me to record a few scripts, they produced it up, and they sent it to me. And then I was able to send it to Mango Jam and Soundstruck and Creative Cloud and all these production houses in the U.A.E. and started to build that connection.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And was there a pivotal moment or memorable moment in your career where you went from starting to give your demos out to multiple studios to suddenly a shift where you would record multiple sessions in a week for different studios?
Yeah, I think the studios I recorded with first were K Company themselves. It was to the point where I was going in there every week or every other week. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? My voice? You like it? So I worked with them quite a bit. And it's funny, I go through seasons with the different companies. So it was with them. C&Tel, Michel Habaki, I worked with him a whole bunch of times. He kept using me. And it's probably because I didn't expect him to pay me on time. So it's like, let's keep using this guy. He's easygoing. And I am easygoing when it comes to payments, probably more than I should be. But I did a lot of work with them. And then, there's the other guys. Not going to bore you with different names, but like BKP. Mango Jam. Can I say that Mango Jam are my favorite? I don't know if you're happy with them.
Of course I'm happy with them. I love them.
They're good. They pay well. They pay on time. You don't have to remind them. I forget that they owe me money. I don't even jot it down. Like I have a little list of people who owe me money. I don't even jot the Mango Jam ones down because they send it. So I've met some cool people doing it.
I'm sure it's a wonderful surprise. You don't remember the sessions that you just recorded, and then one day out of the blue you just receive a payment. It's from that session. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And do you remember your first voiceover session ever?
A paid one?
A paid one, yeah. Actually,
I don't think I remember a paid one.
No?
No.
What about an unpaid one?
The first voiceover session I ever did, it was before I was in radio, it was before I was anything. I was in Amman in Jordan, and my mum's an English teacher, or she was an English teacher, and somebody was doing a dub for a book that they wanted voice actors for it. So she was like, my son speaks English, so I went in, and I remember I went in, I started reading the line, and I messed up on one of the words. So they did the thing that they do in production houses where they continue they play back the sentence and then they want you to continue.
Punch in, yeah.
Yeah, and I kept getting the word wrong and I was like, why are you using my voice? Just use the guy. And they're like, what guy? That voice that keeps playing in my head. And they're like, that's you. And I didn't know what I sounded like on a recording, especially in a condenser microphone like this one. It turns out, even I think I was 16, I had a man's voice. I had the same voice I have now. So I think that was, my first ever in a studio recording a voiceover. There's another one, which is, I don't know if I should talk about it.
Why not?
Because I don't know ethically how it's going to come across. But I'm going to remind you that I was 18, 19, 18, something like that. I was young, sheltered. I didn't know how to feel about it. But I was contacted by a company who I was already doing a children's book for, and like doing the audio for it. And they said, we have this person, they're making a show for kids with special needs. It's a show made just for kids with special needs, no matter what the special need is. And they want you to play the uncle. So I was like, cool, fine by me. They wanted me to do the English version of the show, and I think it went out on NBC3. This was a long time ago. And I did my uncle job. I was Uncle Omar. It was fine. And then they were like, can you do one more role? And I was like, sure. It was like, okay, we want you to do a character called Rami. Rami works at a center for people with special needs, and Rami has Down syndrome.
Okay. Oh.
And I was like, isn't there anyone with Down syndrome that could record that? And they were like, we tried, but the people that we know with Down syndrome, they're good at acting and they're good at reading, but they're not good at reading and acting. Like they had struggles to do it. So I don't know if I'm ashamed to say, or if it was a good thing to do, but I went, I did the session, I played the Rami, I tried to do it quite tame at first, and I'm not going to give you an example.
Okay.
But they're like, can you make it more Down syndrome?
More down, yeah.
Yeah. Can you get down? And I did. And they said that was great, that was amazing. And I was like, I don't know if this is okay. They didn't pay me. It was a volunteer thing, because this show was a whole volunteer project. The woman in question, her kids had special needs. I'm like, if she's okay with it, then I guess it's okay. I didn't know.
Kind of justified.
I still don't know if it's okay. But yeah, I played a character with Down syndrome. That was one of my earliest memories doing voiceovers.
And what about your some of the initial challenges that you faced when first entering the voiceover industry in Dubai?
Well, the thing about Dubai is it's a great place for opportunity, but there's already a bunch of established voiceovers, and I think most companies, most clients as well, they're like, we like this person, just get this person again. And you get recurring work, which is great when you've established yourself. When you haven't yet established yourself, it's a very slow climb to be able to get to that level. And I think something that helped me get to that level is just that buzzword in Noor, he speaks English and Arabic. And that just immediately circulates, and people are like, he speaks English and Arabic. So the fact that I spoke English and Arabic, I think, helped me. And the fact that I was, because there are a lot of iconic voices, and I'm not going to name anyone, but they have the voice. This is the voice that they have. This is the voice that you're going to get. For me, I think I'm quite good at altering my voice. I can make it higher, lower, do different accents. I can sing, like not really sing, but you know, if there's a kind of musical
A jingle
type of thing, a little like not sing, but there was one I did which was like roll up, come on down to the most amazing thing in town, like something like that.
Nice.
Just a bit of acting involved. So I think being able to have these outside skills instead of just having a nice voice or having a good tonality, these things help you get more context. Because someone might be like, oh, we want this voiceover, but it needs to be sing-songy. They'll be like, oh, I don't really know how to do that. But my friend Faris knows how to do that, for example.
Yeah, as an audio producer, I can absolutely relate to what you're saying. So being a voiceover and an audio producer, you get to see both sides of the spectrum, if you wish.
Yeah.
So what you were saying about having that versatility is definitely a strong point.
Because sometimes
when
the
it comes
client
to
doesn't
this
know what they
industry.
want, right?
Exactly.
Sometimes the client like, we don't know if we want it deep or higher pitched or conversational or an answery. They'll be like, bring Faris in. He can he can do a lot of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and I find that when you give more to the client, so when you give that versatility, different options, different variations of tone, intonations, etc., they're more likely to call you back for other projects down the line.
Exactly. No, there was one job I did with Creative Cloud, and I can't remember what I did what they asked me to do. And then it was probably a mistake to do this, but I was like, can I try something that I think would sound good? And I basically delivered the line, but like over the top anime style, like, watch all your favorite cartoons. And I think I even added to the script. I made it rhyme. I made a little like jingle for it. And they were like, we love it, we love it, we love it. And that extended my session by 45 minutes. And it was the same agreed upon price. So I was like, I could have just kept my mouth shut and gotten paid. But it's fun at the end of the day, doing voiceovers.
You're currently a TV and radio presenter. You're actually the host of the Channel 4 breakfast show.
The longest breakfast show in the U.A.E.
And do they serve breakfast?
They do not serve breakfast. No.
Based on all your experience so far in the industry and with all the sessions that you've done, all the different types of projects, like we're talking animations, radio spots, manifesto videos, some corporate reads. What are 3 pieces of advice that you can give someone who's interested in joining the voiceover industry as a professional voiceover actor?
I'd say that there's a big emphasis nowadays, especially, that they don't want voiceovers who sound like voiceovers. And it's something I actually struggle with. Because I don't know, for whatever reason, when there's a script in front of me and there's a microphone, I start to do a different voice, like a voiceover-y voice. And that's what a lot of people don't want. So if you're thinking, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, if you hear other voiceovers and think, I can't make my voice like that, or I don't sound announcery like that, in a lot of instances, good. Good, because they don't want that. They want someone who sounds normal. You just need to be able to read a piece of paper as if you're not reading it. That is the only skill to being a voiceover artist, and having a voice, and being able to just like, these things come with experience, but knowing what 30 seconds is in your head. Like we want a 30-second voiceover. You need to be able to speed up the script. You need to be able to slow down the script and space it out evenly. And this stuff does come with experience, but the most important thing is to be able to read without sounding like you're reading, I think. And it doesn't have to be this whole big thing, because people are like, oh, you know, I have to build a studio, I have to make all these connections. No, you can go to voices.com. They'll let anyone make an account, which can be a bad thing, and we can talk about that more, but it's $500 a year. You can get a microphone from Amazon. I'll even tell you what microphone. It's a, if I can remember what it is, the USB one. Audio-Technica 2020 USB.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Audio-Technica 2020 USB microphone. It's not the best microphone on the market, but it is around $120. It's a small investment, and it just plugs straight into the computer, and you can try. On Fiverr, on Voices.com, on Voice Realm, on Voice Bunny. There's so many different ones. Find one that you're willing to pay for, and then try it, and see if anyone wants to use it. And by the way, voiceover studios, soundproofing, there's, by the way, no voiceovers soundproof their studios. They sound absorb. They sound treat their studios, as you know. But you can do that with a blanket over your head and try. And then when you make some money, you can get some foam. You can start slow.
Sure. As opposed to having a room within a room, like
exactly.
you say in studios.
My studio still is a closet. I just took, there was a built-in closet in my house, so the 2 doors open out. I put a blanket over the 2 doors. I stuck soundproofing foam along the walls. I put a desk in there, small IKEA one. Got my computer, my microphone set up, a little fan because it gets hot in there, and that's it.
Nice, nice. And going back to what you were saying about most people nowadays not wanting a voiceover that sounds like a voiceover.
Conversational is what they call
Conversation,
it. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Do you find that, or in what ways has your career as a radio and TV presenter allowed you to do that and have an advantage in the voiceover industry?
I think just people know you. I don't think it's necessarily helped me become better at it,
Okay.
or helped me skill-wise, because I think they're very different disciplines. I think you can be a good radio presenter and a bad voiceover artist. I know several examples of that. I think you can be a good voiceover artist and a bad radio presenter and TV presenter. But I think it's just like, oh, Faris from the radio, he's probably good. Let's see if he does voiceovers, basically, simply like that. Other than that, probably not. Just meeting people, which helps you get more jobs in the realm of emceeing and stuff. And they'll be like, do you do voiceovers? Yes, I do voiceovers. And I've actually, and it might be come across as a bit douchey, I've started telling people, oh, by the way, I do voiceovers. It kind of sounds like begging for work, but if I meet someone in some capacity and they're happy with my work, I'll try and find a way to throw into the conversation, oh, I do voiceovers as well, which worked when I did a Link Shadow event, which is a cybersecurity company. I was emceeing for them, award ceremony, tuxedo, big thing, and the guy was, we were playing a video from them, and he was like, oh, I hate this AI voice sounds terrible. So I was like, I do voiceovers, I can do it. And he was like, okay, more money immediately.
Sounds like networking to me more than showing off.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
you saw an opportunity, you were there at the right time, at the the right place. With your
I had a
services.
solution. I had a solution for somebody, yeah.
Exactly. And I really believe in that, Faris, that the more value you present to people, the more likely you are to get their repeat work, if that makes sense. And I was saying on a previous episode, one of my guests asked me, what are your 3 truths? And I was saying that one of them is always to give more than what you're paid for.
Okay.
And for instance, that's something that really worked for me in the past and up to now, is let's say you're done after 2 takes. The session is really quick. You're booked for an hour, but after 2 takes, 5 minutes of the session, client is like, oh, I love it, that's it, approved. And you're like, but what? But okay, hold on. May I give you one more that I think you like? They're like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, because you're giving more than they need.
Exactly, and they will remember you for that.
Yeah.
They will remember. I'd like to touch upon something that you just mentioned. We were just talking about AI.
Yeah.
We both know that AI technology has really advanced to the point that it can clone any voice out there. What are your thoughts on these developments? And what, in your opinion, can professional voiceover actors continue to do to keep differentiating themselves from these artificial voices?
Here's the thing about AI, and I happen to know that its processing power and its abilities are doubling every year. So I would, I'm sure there's a lot of voiceovers that are like, AI will never take over the job. It's never going to be like the real thing. And stuff. But it could. It could. I don't know. We have no idea if it will take over because it is advancing at such a great level. I can talk about now and what I've noticed. So I'm on voices.com. Usually you go on Voices, there's like 60 jobs on there, and you can find the ones that you fit for, audition for them, but you're auditioning against thousands, so you don't get all the jobs, obviously. And then this AI tool came out on Adobe, and then I started going on Voices.com, and I noticed there's only 14 jobs, 15 jobs, and I was like, there's our day in the sun, it's gone. The voiceover industry is destroyed. And then I went on it 4 months later, and 90 jobs. So I think humans have an innate ability which is hard to describe, which is being able to tell that something is part of the uncanny valley. Something is very human, but it's not quite. There's something missing, and it's very hard to explain what it is. And an example of this is if you watch a CGI movie, or if you've seen the new Star Wars shows where they try and bring back old characters, and they have to use CGI to make them look younger. It's good. They're doing a very good job, but the human brain knows that this isn't quite right. So I think AI will definitely take over when it comes to simple projects. I think when it comes to and you know what? Good. Because, somebody who's trying to make a YouTube channel doesn't want to pay $300-400 for a voiceover to read out a simple intro. Somebody who's doing a TikTok video doesn't want to pay that much. They're trying to make it as well. So I think AI will definitely take over that stuff. But when it comes to big brands, the Samsungs, the Cadillacs, the ones who want a big voiceover, it's always going to be human. Just because even if AI sounds really, really human, it doesn't sound human. Yeah. So I think at the moment, I don't think it's a huge threat. I think the bigger threat is other humans. I don't think AI is the problem. I think in a lot of countries, I can even say specifically in the U.A.E, certain radio stations, when they're being approached by clients, they'll put as part of their packages, we will produce your ad for you. Advertise with us and we will produce your ad. We'll do it all in-house. So they go and the client's like, great, I don't have to go get the ad and then give it to the radio station, then they run it. And then what does the radio station do? They will get somebody who's on their payroll, like an intern or a manager, someone who has a good voice, and they'll get them to do all the ads. And they're the bigger problem than AI. I don't think AI is going to take my job. I think other humans who, first of all, don't know what a voiceover is worth, and they'll just do like 10 for 500 dirhams, or a company that will use somebody else who's already on the payroll. They don't get paid any extra to just do it for them. I'll tell you something from my experience, and I'm not going to name any names. But when I was in Jordan, I was working for a radio station for very little money. I'll tell you, it was 1,500 dirhams a month. That was my salary. As part of my responsibilities, there was another company which was owned by the same person that owns the radio station in the same building, and they did in-house radio for companies in the U.A.E. So I was 19, 20 years old. I come from a poor family. I was happy to receive the 1,500 dirhams. I didn't think anything of it. They give me pages and pages of voiceovers for companies like, should I say the company names?
Yeah.
Sharaf DG, Yas Waterworld, Wild Wadi, and Go Sports, all of these massive companies, which if they were using a U.A.E voiceover artist, would probably be on retainer for like a couple of thousand dirhams a month for each one of those. They've got some kid in Jordan, me, doing them all for free.
Wow.
So I think it's humans that are the problem. I don't think AI is the problem.
That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And speaking
I
of
didn't
which,
know. So
when did you find out?
when I came here,
I see.
yeah.
I see. Did anyone tell you, hey, I heard your voice for this brand?
No,
or for
because
that
I was
brand?
unknown. I was unknown here while I was over there. So.
I see. Speaking of all these big brands, we both know that you've recorded for some of the biggest brands across the globe.
A couple.
And in the U.A.E. And we're talking Facebook, Starbucks, IKEA, Sharaf DG, like you just mentioned. Were there any particular sessions that were special and stood out to you?
Well, it's interesting because you were mentioning about how, sometimes the session goes really quickly and you're like, ooh, let me give more. This is not the case for me. I think it's probably the biggest company was Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook, Meta. They were doing some kind of translation thing and they just wanted a voiceover. And it's funny with these big companies that have big budgets. They paid me a good amount of money for this. I did one take. They said, that's great. Can you just do this one line again? And I did it again. They were like, great, thanks so much. We'll send the payment through. It was 12 minutes.
Wow.
12 minutes of my life. I was like, that's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. It's a bit ironic.
That's from the
don't you
global
think?
brands. But sessions that stood out, I've done a lot of voice acting, which is different to voiceovers, obviously. And there was one where I was playing Thor from Norse mythology. It was in a podcast called Vikings, Al-Awalim Al-Sab'a. And I played Thor, and there was a lot of acting involved. And one of the scenes, Thor is eating an apple, and something surprises him. So they gave me an apple, and I was chewing it, and I spat it on the microphone just to get that genuine reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty special.
How did the studio react to that?
They found it funny. Yeah, they had to clean it up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice, that's cool.
There was one session for the same podcast where, it was for Cindy Bed.
Okay.
It was for Cindy Bed. And there were 3 voiceovers in the same room because they wanted a genuine reaction instead of 2 people recording separately. You can't really act and play off each other. And there was a chase scene, so they wanted us to actually run in place while recording. And it just got very smelly in the studio, really.
Yeah, I bet everybody's sweating and, wow, did anyone work
3
out?
grown men in a studio with no air conditioning. Yeah.
That's what we call a man cave. My next question is something hypothetical that I like to ask all my guests. And it's something I call the 3 truths. So let's say someone who's very interested in joining the voiceover industry comes to you and says, Faris, based on all your experience as a radio, TV presenter, voiceover actor, what are 3 truths that you've learned about the industry that you can share with the rest of the world?
Number 1 is it's not how good you are, it's who you know. It's being accessible. When people look for voiceovers, they're not going to put out a post on Facebook. Some of them do, but then they get a lot of people messaging them. Usually they ask their friends, like, do you know anyone who's good? Yeah, I know this guy. And that's how it is. So putting yourself out there as much as you can, whether it's, unfortunately, making social media content, TikTok content, LinkedIn stuff, like you need to let people know that you do this in whatever way you can. Whatever you actually do get a job, make sure to post it everywhere so they know that you're the one that did it. So yeah, it's not how good you are, it's who you know is number 1, because it's very hard to be known as a voiceover. It's a voice. Like on TV, they say your name. On radio, you keep saying your name. On MCing, you introduce yourself. Voiceover is just a voice. So it's very hard, and you need to let people know that you are the voice that did that.
Which is one of the reasons that I came up with the show.
Yeah, and that's why I'm here to announce that I am the voice of the Metro.
Yeah.
Listen, people just keep making it up as far as I can tell. Doors closing. I mean, I think it's believable.
Yeah.
I'm not the voice of the Metro. No,
Yeah.
I would never claim that. So that's truth number 1. Number 2, it is very unlikely that you will ever make enough money doing voiceovers. It's extra. It's pocket money. That's the dream. There's a dream for me to just do voiceovers and be able to make a good amount of money and live a good life just on voiceovers, but it's very, 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 very unlikely. It's not going to happen. And truth number 3 is, I think sometimes you're in season and sometimes you're out of season as a voiceover. Sometimes you're going to get a lot of work, and sometimes it's just going to die out and you don't really know why.
Well, from my experience on the other end of the spectrum, as an audio producer and business owner, it's also a seasonal market.
Yeah, that as well.
You know, like June, July, August, most of the time it's dead. And then it comes back up, September, October,
Yeah, but you
November.
don't always go back to the same people.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
That's
sometimes, I'm not saying you would, Joe, but some people will have found in that time somebody cheaper, somebody maybe better, somebody, or they forgot you, they just forgot. They forgot, and they were like, oh, who did we use last time? Oh, we used this new guy. So you need to keep reminding them that you exist as well. That's another truth.
So based on these 3 truths, what is your advice to people who are interested in starting a career as a professional voiceover actor?
Try it, and like most things, all things, practice makes perfect. So I find in all aspects of life, the most annoying statement is, oh, but I'm no good at it. Well, I'm not good at skateboarding. And the reason I'm not good at skateboarding is because I've never skateboarded. Try and see what you can do. So like I said, the simplest thing you can do is just, I know it's a bit weird. If you live with people, they might find it strange, but find scripts online, of which there are thousands, and practice them by yourself, record them on your phone, listen to them back, decide whether or not they sounded good, and just keep practicing. The other thing is, it's very easy to invest in a microphone. It's very easy to invest in a makeshift studio. And the other thing to do is just go on LinkedIn, find out who the production houses in the U.A.E. are, or whichever country you're living in, and say, I've made this demo, and it can just be dry. It doesn't have to have all the production, everything around it. It just needs to sound good and take out the breaths and stuff. And send that over. And if you need a free editing app, it's called Audacity, Audacity. It doesn't do a lot, but it does what you need it to do. Cheap microphone, because people see, like you're a sound engineer, you see potential, right? You don't check mic quality when it comes to somebody new. Yeah.
It's not necessarily about the mic. Like we were just talking with Milton. It's not about the mic. It's mostly about the room.
Yeah.
Like, and you were talking about creating a makeshift space with what you've got. You can start somewhere, and then as you get more jobs, more clients, then you invest a bit more in yourself to keep upping your game in a sense.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because I know a lot of people with great voices that don't invest in themselves in that way, taking care of their space. So whenever they are booked for a job with big clients, mind you, the audio that I get sometimes is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And you have to go back to them, tell them, I can't use this, so either...
What makes it ridiculous?
Well, number 1, echo. Okay, so, I mean, if you clap your hands in their space, you can literally hear the echo.
Yeah.
Number 2, you can hear the AC or the fan that they have 10 meters away from them.
Yeah.
And number 3, you can sometimes hear construction because we know we live in Dubai.
Okay,
right?
that's just terrible.
Exactly. So that to me shows very little effort in investing in yourself. You know? And some clients are paying like big bucks for that.
Exactly.
So in my humble opinion, it's at least invest in yourself so that studios and other people can invest in you.
Just be smart as well, because there's construction in my area, and I wait in between the drilling sounds, or you just do it at night. Most production companies, sometimes it happens, but they don't usually need the voiceover right then, right there. And like I said, blanket over the head. Does it sound like they ever put the blanket over their head? Blanket over the head does so much. I traveled Vietnam for 16 days, and I came back with more money than I left with.
Wow.
Because even though like I wasn't like in a nice hotel, I was out in the mountains, motorbikes, staying in hostels with 16 other people, and I just picked my moments. If I got a voiceover, I'd get under the blanket, put over 2 blankets, use my little microphone, wait until everyone was either asleep or out, and I made money while traveling. And that's a great thing about voiceovers. From all the things that I do, it's the only thing I can do while I'm traveling.
So it's the flexibility and the freedom that you get.
Exactly.
And what is your definition of a great voiceover actor?
Like I said, somebody who can take direction, because I think the only thing that we have that is beating these AI machines is that they are actually difficult to use. They can generate a voice quickly, and you can tell them what you want, but you can't explain to them, you know, because you're a sound engineer. You must have tell the voiceovers like, and you give it a little more. You can't say that to an AI. You need to tell exactly what you want, and then it gives it to you, but it's not exactly what you want, and then you have to like reword it, and it ends up taking longer than if you get a human to just sort of get the idea of what it is that you want. So I think being able to take direction, I think being easy to work with makes you a good voiceover. I've been in rooms with other voiceover artists. And listen, if you're another voiceover artist, we're not important people. We're not in a position to be divas. Like the client doesn't know what they're doing. The client doesn't know what they want. Don't get frustrated with them, because the fact that they don't know what they want is the reason they hired you. They threw money at a problem that they had where they got a professional to come and try and give them what they want. So if they ask you to repeat it, don't be like, yeah, but why? Like, I'm doing what you asked. They don't want to work with you again.
Yeah.
Just keep trying. And sometimes, and you can sort of learn like what they want, even though they don't know what they want. I've started to learn really quickly that even though I think it's better to do it conversationally, and they're like, can you give it more excitement? They don't mean excited. I sounded excited. They mean loud and over the top. You know? Brand new deals at this supermarket. It doesn't sound normal. And they'll even say conversational, but excited. And you'll try and make it sound conversational and excited. And then they'll be like, no, more excitement. You just already know they don't mean conversational.
Yeah, they want a radio spot,
Exactly.
essentially.
Yeah.
They don't want a conversation.
Yeah, so be easy to work with, be flexible, and work on yourself. Even though you did a few good voiceovers and you got paid for them, you can always learn to be better. Just practice different accents, different modulation, try voice acting, which I think is very different to voiceovers. There's lots of ways you can improve.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Was there any particular session that you still remember the script as if it was written in front of you right now?
Yes. I mean, a very fun session. And these are the sessions I like, the ones that are really fun. And the reason I'm moving the microphone away is because I'm going to be yelling. All right? And I'm going to be clearing my sinuses. Now, this was some time ago. Not recently, if you know what I mean. But it was for Starbucks. Okay? And it was for the World Cup, which was happening. And that was probably one of the hugest ones I did, because it was all over TikTok. Everywhere. And I remember the script was like, and he's going in with the cream hot fudge. Oh my God, what's he doing? He's going in with the cold foam and go!
Awesome.
That was fun.
Awesome.
And when you think about, you know, when you hear these on TikTok and you like, oh, that's really cool. If you think about the person that was doing it was me essentially naked in my closet in my house, surrounded by pillows.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm just there by myself, just yelling in my closet. It's, pretty interesting.
Wow. Was there any, so throughout your career, were there any mentors or people that really helped you up your game?
Yeah, definitely. I had some mentors, like I mentioned, Katie Overy at the start of the podcast. Katie helped me a lot, helps me still with pricing with contacts. Katie has a habit that some people find annoying. Love you, Katie. Where she will give criticism even though you didn't ask. Some people get annoyed by that. I don't mind it. So she'll be like, "Hi, love. I heard your voiceover for this company, and I thought it was weird the way you pronounced this, or the way you did that, or the way you did this." I'll be like, "Oh, okay," and I'll take that on board. So I guess that's kind of mentoring. That she'd give advice. Digby Taylor, big shout out to Digby. He's a voiceover as well. He's been doing it for a very long time, and he gave me advice on modulation and inspired some of my character voices. And he also helped me pick out microphones as well. So I could go to him for any hardware sort of audio production questions, and he'd usually know the answer.
Big shout out to Digby and Katie. We had Digby.
Did you have him?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to watch that. Amazing to have all this experience and knowledge, you know. And Digby, I have to say, also gave me his old soundproofing panels, which I'll never forget him for. They're still in my closet.
Cool. Faris, thank you so much. I want to take this time to acknowledge you, acknowledge all the work you've done, and acknowledge also the work you continue to do on yourself. Like, I can see you've worked on yourself, you continue to improve your skills, you continue to improve your knowledge, and for me, that's really important for any human being, you know. As long as you're improving yourself and willing to learn and willing to take on criticism, like you were saying, I think that's really good for humanity as a whole, you know.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.